Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday message for August 21st, 2022. We walk through this life viewing all things around us. For those of us on the spiritual path, we take things in and see how we're being moved by them, either positively or negatively. We do our work to clear out the old thoughts and feelings so that we can be greater channel for God's good to come into us and through us. Then we begin to ask ourselves, is there something more to do? Is there an even greater service to accomplish while we are still here on this earth? And that shift within ourselves provides our I am presence with the opportunity to raise our consciousness. And within the eternal moment of now, to perceive what is happening in the outer world with new insight. So as you take a moment to think about that, just breathe in and out deeply and give thanks for the opening awareness that we are here to serve all life on planet Earth. As we grow in our awareness of our personal I am presence, we realize that as we have this a new awareness of helping all others on this planet, our personal life force actually begins to be a greater open door for the love and light of God on this planet. As we become more and more aware of our personal I am presence in a conscious state, we actually become aware of the I am presence of others around us, which we can then join with while in meditation and bring a greater flow of divine love into the planet that will embrace the earth and all life evolving on Earth. And as each of us beings do this more and more often, we all are assisting all of humanity in the awakening. More and more people are awakening, and as they awaken, they begin to remember who they really are, beloved children of God, and why they are here to assist everyone to awaken. As each one of us has this realization, it's actually going out to inspire other people to raise their heart and mind up, which in turn raises their consciousness and allows the light of God to increase on earth. When a person's consciousness is raised and the light of God increases in their life, they begin to see things around them differently. That energy then goes out and affects those around us. This phenomenon has the wonderful effect of assisting people to more clearly perceive the oneness of life and the truth that all life is interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent. As each one of us begins to truly understand that we are all one, that understanding assists others to see that there is no such thing as us and them. When that truth begins to resonate in the deepest parts of our being, the very thought of anything causing pain and suffering to anyone else becomes unacceptable. And sometimes when this happens, the reflex response is for the newly awakened person to take a stand against those negative situations and behaviors. This causes the awakened person to inadvertently separate themselves from the people they see doing harm to another. We ourselves have once again forgotten that we are all one. The challenge is when we want to separate from others in this way, we then polarize ourselves against the person or group of people, which then motivates them to fight back. And of course, this merely widens the whole avenue between us and causes further separation. The thing is, we often attempt to solve the problem by arguing our case and trying to convince the people we're polarized against into seeing things our way. We share all of our newly acquired insights and try to convince them that their way of thinking and feeling is wrong. And they in turn argue from their perspective that our way of thinking is delusional and that we are being duped by illusions and are being truly unrealistic in our thinking. These arguments are futile and only exasperate our separation. People do not know what they do not know. When we awaken, our consciousness is raised up and our perception of reality is transformed. An awakened person has an entirely new insight into life and literally thinks, feels, sees, and hears with greater awareness. This shift of consciousness allows one to perceive a greater truth and to comprehend the oneness in life at a very deep level. This creates a knowing within the awakened person's heart center that cannot be disputed. When an unawakened person tries to discredit that knowing, it's like a deaf and blind person trying to convince the hearing and seeing person that there is no such thing as color or music. The difference is that the hearing sighted person would understand perfectly that the deaf and blind person was having trouble grasping the concept of color and music. The sighted and hearing person would have compassion for the deaf and blind person and would respond to him or her with patience and understanding. Unfortunately, we can't tell if someone is awakened. So we often make the mistake of assuming that people should know more than they do, or that they should understand more than they are capable of. When we expect more from people than they are capable of, we are generally disappointed and frustrated with their actions and their perception of things, which only polarizes us more. And this right now, the time we're in, is a very challenging time for people everywhere. It's a time when humanity is being purged and the negative behavior patterns of our lower human natures are being pushed to the surface to be healed and transmuted. This is a necessary part of our transformation and a cleansing that must occur in order for humanity to complete our ascension into the higher dimensional energies surrounding us. This purification is happening for each of us individually and for all of us collectively. It seems as though every time we turn on the news, we see widespread reports of corporate greed, governmental corruption, the atrocities of war, the imbalances of the economic system, and so many other things that reflect humanity's fear and belief in separation. During this intense time of cleansing, unawakened people around the world are becoming vastly polarized over every conceivable aspect of life. There are things that have existed for a very long time that are now being brought to the attention of the masses. And there's things within our collective consciousness that humanity as a whole is now clearing and healing. We as a whole are in the midst of the greatest shift of consciousness this earth has seen. And we are key players in that shift. In order for the earth and all of humanity to make this shift in consciousness, we must heal the polarization, the separation that we hold inside of us. Since those in the unawakened state can't easily grasp the concept of the oneness of life, It's up to each and every one of us who has grasped this concept of oneness to assist in healing the polarization, the feeling of separation. This means you and me and every other awakened or awakening person on earth. This is our purpose and reason for being here in body at this time. And we already have everything in our hearts that we need to accomplish this. What affects one part of life affects all parts of life. In other words, as I am lifted up in consciousness, all of life is lifted up. Instead of polarizing against everything we disagree with, we need to co-create a new reality of reality, in a sense, that reflects our oneness and makes the concept of separation obsolete. We have the opportunity to assist in this endeavor daily and hourly as we take the power of our attention away from the illusion of separation and focus it on the visions of a whole new earth. And there is a very easy way to do this. When we observe something in our life or in the world that does not reflect a reference for all life, for the oneness of life, we need to invoke the light of God into the situation and transmute the negativity associated with that illusion back into life. And then we can envision what we want to create in its place: love, peace, harmony, rain, food for everyone, whatever the world needs. Remember, our thoughts and feelings are assisting in creating the world we want to see. Instead of polarizing against our government, for instance, we can envision the people who hold public office responding to the directives of their own personal I am presence. We can visualize them consistently striving for the highest good of all. And when greed and selfishness and gross imbalances in the distribution of wealth are brought into our attention, we can envision the I am presence of the people involved taking command of their heart and mind, and we can visualize them responding with integrity, honesty, generosity, and the willingness to assist those that are less fortunate. Then, with the power of our thoughts, actions, and feelings, we bring into our minds and hearts what we really want our world to be like. We need to create the vision of we want Earth to be like. Then we need to set about creating the reality. In addition to empowering visions for the new Earth with our every thought, word, action, and feeling, we have the ability to serve as servants of Source to hold that higher field of energy on behalf of all humanity. Since all life is interconnected, when we move into a higher level of consciousness or transmute an aspect of our own consciousness that no longer serves our highest good, we also lift up and transmute the collective consciousness and energies of all humanity as well. As we transmute our own obsolete behavior patterns, we can ask the I am presence of every man, woman, and child to lift up their consciousness and to transmute their behavior patterns simultaneously. The universal law is ask, seek, knock. Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Because of the intensities of the challenges humanity is going through at this time, we are all being called to utilize our collective higher consciousness, co-create a force field of divine love that will perpetually envelop the earth and all life evolving upon her. Joining together, we can greatly assist in shifting the mass consciousness of humanity by empowering the awareness of the oneness of all life in the hearts and minds of all people. As we hold everyone in divine love, we are actually assisting every unawakened soul to begin to open up to be able to perceive their own light. When we join our collective I am presences together, we are actually creating a new higher frequency around our precious Mother Earth and all life evolving upon her. Divine love is far more powerful, changing humanity's global consciousness than any other humanity generated life fields of energy on the planet. It is a universal law that if the inner conditioner forces within our global consciousness are transformed through the higher vibrations of divine love, the outer conditions of the world will reflect that divine love in everything. And I know that most of us are currently trying to manage the effects in our lives rather than focusing on the cause that is from within, which is the only way that will truly change the situation. Our I am presence, individual to each of us, and yet fully connected to each other, awakens us to our highly concentrated life force energy, and we can become the open door for the light and love of Source to fully come into this planet. So I invite each and every one of you to make a commitment to spend some time every day allowing your own personal I am presence to come in and to shine forth upon this planet. And I'm not asking for much. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes 2 or 3 times a day, a half an hour 2 or 3 times a day. What works for you? But a different bottom line is, how committed are you to changing and to more fully being the light of God on this planet? But however much time that you can share to assist the rest of us, the more that can join together to be the light, to allow your own I am presence to come more fully, consciously into planet Earth, the greater and more powerful and sooner this planet is going. So I want to thank you very much for being with us today and listening to this talk, and hopefully be motivated to join with so many of the rest of us in the process of transmuting the energy on this planet. God bless each and every one of you. Take care. Namaste.